Welcome to Exam Sale. In this brief audio guide we will walk through the full syllabus for the American Institute of Certified Planners Test Prep. This will give you a clear roadmap for study and exam strategy. The exam is divided into 5 domains with exact weights you must know. Plan making and implementation 30%, areas of practice 30%, fundamental planning knowledge 25%, AICP Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct 10%, and leadership, administration, and management 5%. Expect a mix of conceptual questions and scenario-based items, with recommended study time varying by domain. Use these percentages to prioritize study time and practice scenarios. Plan making and implementation carries 30% of the exam and is classified as hard with about 45 hours of study recommended and conceptual plus scenario-based assessment. This domain focuses on rigorous research and analysis, community engagement strategies, and the technical application of planning tools and techniques. You will learn data collection and sampling methods, descriptive and inferential statistics, cohort component demographic projection models, economic base and shift share analysis, environmental and fiscal impact assessment, and land use inventory and suitability analysis. You will also master public participation processes, stakeholder identification and inclusive outreach, mediation techniques and visual storytelling, digital engagement tools and techniques for marginalized populations, as well as concrete plan implementation skills like zoning ordinance drafting, subdivision and site plan review, capital improvement programming, form-based codes, incentive tools and tax increment financing, growth management, and program evaluation. Areas of practice is also 30% of the exam, rated medium difficulty with an estimated 40 hours of study and both conceptual and scenario-based questions. This domain applies planning principles to real functional areas, so you will study comprehensive and sectoral planning elements including consistent plan structure, housing needs assessments and affordability programs, multimodal transportation systems, infrastructure and public facility planning, economic development strategies, parks and open space planning, and historic preservation. The environment and resilience portion covers climate mitigation and adaptation, natural hazard mitigation and recovery, water and watershed planning, energy and renewable integration, sustainable development and green building standards, agricultural land conservation, and public health linkages. The small area and urban design topics train you in neighborhood and corridor planning, transit-oriented development, urban design and placemaking, downtown revitalization, brownfield and grayfield redevelopment, campus master planning, and coordinated site planning with landscape architecture. Fundamental planning knowledge makes up 25% of the exam with medium difficulty and about 35 hours of study, assessed through conceptual and scenario items. This domain covers the legal, historical, and theoretical foundations of the profession, so you will study constitutional law and property rights including takings doctrine, due process and equal protection issues, major U.S. Supreme Court cases that shape planning, statutory frameworks, eminent domain and public use, freedom of speech and sign regulation, and RLUIPA issues. The history and theory component reviews the evolution of planning movements such as City Beautiful and Garden Cities, key historical figures, normative and descriptive planning theories, incremental versus rational comprehensive approaches, communicative and advocacy models, and theories of urban structure. You will also examine patterns of human settlement, urbanization trends, density gradients and suburbanization, the new urbanism movement, regional cross-jurisdictional planning, technology impacts on spatial development, demographic shifts and migration, and smart growth principles. The AICP Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct accounts for 10% of the exam, is rated hard, and is evaluated through scenario-based questions with about 15 hours of focused preparation recommended. This domain requires a practical understanding of the aspirational principles and binding rules of conduct, conflicts of interest, outside employment considerations, obligations of accuracy and timeliness, client and employer loyalty balanced with the public interest, anti-discrimination duties, and confidentiality and disclosure requirements. You will also learn the procedures for filing ethical complaints, how advisory opinions and informal advice operate, disciplinary actions and appeals, a planner's responsibilities to the profession, duties to notify AICP of violations, and the practical dynamics between ethics and planning commissions, Practicing ethical scenarios and reviewing enforcement outcomes will be essential to apply rules under exam conditions. Leadership, administration, and management is 5% of the exam, rated easy with about 10 hours of study and a mix of conceptual and scenario questions. This domain focuses on the strategic management of planning agencies, personnel supervision, and organizational budgeting, so you will learn organizational structures, change management approaches, budget development and financial oversight, and personnel management and performance evaluation. You will also cover strategic planning for agencies, project and workflow management, grant writing and alternative funding sources, and leadership ethics and mentorship to run planning teams effectively. That completes the syllabus overview for AICP test prep. Allocate study hours in proportion to the domain weights. Focus on practicing scenario-based questions for the hard domains, and review ethics and foundational law carefully. Good luck with your preparation and use this roadmap to guide consistent, focused study.